So as I've noted, I'm the president and founder of Nikola Tesla Educational, but basically this is a Ontario corporation, non-for-profit, and a registered charity. We came to be in 2014. Really, when we incorporated, but we really didn't do nothing until we became a registered charity. And from that point on, we started moving forward. But Nikola Tesla is an individual that inspires, and if you know how to reach to the kids the right way, you will inspire it. History is very powerful, and it can inspire. And it just an example here of a plasma ball, as you can see the child there, how interesting he was looking at it. But this was just one of the things that we did at a festival. So we want people really to understand who Tesla is, learn about him, and once they do learn, then they discover there's so many cool things, and we do that all the time. And when we get into the schools, unfortunately, the past almost 2 years now, we haven't been able to get in there due to COVID. But when we go into schools, we actually take in Tesla coils, and we get kids to hold fluorescent light bulbs, and they light up in their hands, and the kids are very inspired and in awe. To them, it's magic. But just a little brief thing. I won't go into too much detail about Tesla. Of course, he was born in 1856 in Europe. He moved to the States in 1894. He is really an inventor. He's an electrical and mechanical engineer. He's just a physicist, a futurist. His visions were just incredible. Uh, the latest count that we've heard is 315 confirmed patents around the world, plus 128 publications of his that have been published in journals and so on and so forth. His greatest thing, really, most people know him about, is that he was able to harness the power of Niagara Falls, and that happened in 1896 with power going to Buffalo, and only a couple years later, the impact on Ontario when power came to Hamilton. And he died in 1943. And as mentioned, you know what? This guy was a humanitarian. When he passed away, he was living on a measly pension from the former Yugoslavia. Uh, and the fact is, he was living in the New Yorker. I think it was for free, but he didn't have anything. If this guy uh, held his patent and reach the monetary value of those patents. Well, we talk about Tesla Motors and Elon Musk and all of that, how wealthy and everything he is. Nikola Tesla would have knocked the pants off all of these guys. All right. Anyway, Tesla is greatest known for that electric induction motor. That is, this is the actual motor that is in the museum in Belgrade at the Tesla Museum. For those who understand electricity, in reality is if you reverse the motor and do a couple of things to it, it becomes an alternator or a generator. So it actually works both ways. Now, before Tesla, so we're talking about Edison time, it was impossible to transmit electricity over the great distances. You did 2 miles and you were it. That was all they could do at that time. And that was the prevailing wisdom at that time, that it was impossible. And yes, it was impossible. But in 1898, when he actually released his patent in great explanation and demonstration, it all became possible. And of course, what it sparked is the War of the Currents, and we know about the DC and AC famous battle between Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla, and some of the great lengths that Edison went to try to prove that AC was dangerous. But it all ended at Chicago World's Fair when night became day. Never before had so many lights been seen lit up all at the same time, and it was clearly the demonstration of Westinghouse slash Tesla polyphase system. So reality is Tesla's new discovery really sparked a new age. This is actually comes from the Ontario Power Generating Station, the station that was built in Ontario, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But everybody that understands recognizes that Tesla launched the second industrial revolution through that development of the transmission of power. So the winner of the AC/DC was the bragging right, should we say, or really the construction of the Edward Dean Adams Power Station, Niagara Falls, New York. And this was envisioned how to be done, but nobody knew how to transmit the power. So it's really the transmission of power was more important than harnessing power hydro through generating of running water through turbines. But the importance really was the patents of how to transmit it over great distances. At this station, there are 9 of 13 patents that belong to Tesla. So this is the critical element inside the station, and these were the patents that he released on May 1st, 1888, that Westinghouse bought from him. Now, let's take ourselves to the next element, and in comes a gentleman by the name of John Patterson. He is one of the 5 Johns from the city of Hamilton. And ironically, they were all their first name was John. But John Patterson is the one I kind of home in on. He was the visionary. He actually went to the Adams Power Generating Station and described it that how we would have described the gigafactory, massive, just an incredible. Nobody could fathom what they were doing there at the grand scale. And he wanted to bring power to Hamilton. And his vision was that this could be done. So this was 1894, and he made a comment in the papers at that time that even the oldest citizens of Hamilton will live to see power and light in their homes. All right, so let's follow that through. But again, the wisdom of those days was, no, you cannot do this. So the 5 Johns consulted none other than Nikola Tesla. And Tesla reviewed their plans and he approved of them, that it was possible to transmit power from, and in their case, from St. Catharines over to Hamilton, a distance of 35 miles. Again, unthinkable. Think of this: Buffalo, Niagara Falls, New York to Buffalo, that was 17 miles. Now they're doing 35 miles. So this was the second longest power transmission in the world when this transpired. This is the black and white picture, as you can see. That is the Decew Power Generating Station of 1898 when it was being constructed there, as you can see. And this station is still producing power today. I've been inside this station in 2018, and at that time they were doing some retrofitting, and the vice president told me that now this station is ready to produce power for at least another 40 years without any interruption. So this is how powerful this technology is. It's still valid, 125 years later, and it's still going strong. All hydropower generating stations are basically built on the same principle, and this was confirmed by an engineer who is working right now at the Rankin station. We'll get into that as well. But he was asked a specific question about this station, and he says it is all built on the same principle. Same patents of Tesla's were used in here as well. So when Hamilton got power, it became to be known as the Electric City. Why? Because it was the first major city in all of Canada to have an abundance of power, and that started an industrial boom like you wouldn't believe. The growth of the city was phenomenal at that time. Major industries came into the city, and the first one to kick it off was Westinghouse. Westinghouse was building his plant before the power actually arrived in Hamilton. So that was the critical element in here. But let's go back a little bit now and take a look at this Edward Dean Adams Station. Well, if you look at this picture, and as it says, it's gone forever. It has been, when it was decommissioned, afterwards, it was all taken apart. So there's nothing of this station left. All you will find is one outlying building that was the building that housed the transformers, and those transformers are all gone out of there. So it's just a shell of a building. Nothing else is left of this station. But now compare this picture here. This is actually a replica of the Edward Dean Adams Station. In fact, it is the same company and the same people that were behind both stations. The Canadian, it was called the Niagara Canada Power Generating Company, but it was actually incorporated in 1892. And then the Cataract Construction Company came about that built the stations. So whatever they learned in the Adam station, whatever went wrong for them, they were able to correct it and put it into this station. This station later got renamed to the William Birch Rankin Station, named after the president, William Birch Rankin, who was the gentleman who actually put the company together and in 1892. So that gives us a little bit of the lay of the land. This station, when, as it noted here, it went into production, was first fired up on January the 1st of 1905, but really didn't start shipping power till 1906. So if we take a look at that, that's 1906. Hamilton has power since August 25th of 1898. For 8 years, Hamilton has power and nobody else has power. The other interesting thing about this particular station is most of the power from this station actually didn't go to Canada. Most of it went to the States. It was all earmarked for export. There are 3 stations close to the falls. One's called Ontario, one's Rankin, and the third one is Toronto. And the Toronto station was a station that they all went into production around the same time, 1906. The Toronto station shipped power to Toronto. The Ontario station eventually fed the HEPCO, Hydroelectric Power Commission of Ontario, predating Ontario Hydro. So armed with some of this incredible history piece that we did not know, even though I've grown up in Hamilton, I was not educated about Hamilton's history as being the first city of power. But armed with all of that, we took this whole message over to the mayor and said, let's do something to honor Tesla. Let's bring Tesla into the schools. Let's put a statue of Tesla in Hamilton. And then we discover this whole history piece. And once we now have this whole history piece, now all of a sudden we're going to say, like, a statue is not enough. But what else can we do? Well, on July the 10th of 2016, Nikola Tesla Blvd became a reality. And how it became a reality is I approached with a few of the directors of NTEC, approached City Council and said, let us rename Burlington Street. Burlington Street, for those who may not be familiar with it, is an iconic street. It's been there for eons, and it has a direct link to QEW. Now, the other thing about Burlington Street, it has an upper and a lower. So just think of the Gardner Expressway in Lakeshore. It is exactly that same setup, except that it's a lot shorter. Very, very short run of about 5 kilometers, 5.5 kilometers. So having that idea that we have 2 levels and only Burlington Street on both of it, it was kind of confusing from one respect. If you just imagine there's an emergency and somebody calls in emergency and says, where are you? Oh, I'm in Burlington and Parkdale. Are you on the upper level or on the lower level? So this renaming one of the levels was a great saving to the city, but we proposed that we would come to the city and we would pay the full cost of doing this. And we set a budget of $150,000, which everybody thought we were crazy that we're going to raise this kind of money. But in a matter of 3 months, we raised $180,000. And not only did we raise 180, we exceeded that by going over $200,000. We made a commitment to our donors that any excess funds from the Nikola Tesla Blvd campaign would go to education awards and scholarships for kids. And we'll talk about that a little later. This is a picture from literally the ribbon cutting the day of July the 10th, when Tesla would have been 160 years old at that day. And it was a grand event that we celebrated there. As I said, we said we would commit to awards and scholarships. So we have been at an area, something called the Bay Area Science and Engineering Fair since 2015, awarding kids that present Tesla elements in their science projects. So we've awarded hundreds of awards to this fair, and we've been there, as I said, since 2015, and we continue to do that. We are also in the Hamilton Wentworth District Public School. Every elementary school in Hamilton District Public School now has a Nikola Tesla Award as a grade 8 graduating class award, recognizing their innovative thinking. But that wasn't enough. These awards, as much as they're great, our next one is a scholarship, and it is a $10,000 per year scholarship. As you can see, we have 4 winners to date already, and 2021 comes September, we'll have our 5th one. So these are kids that are studying in the field related to Nikola Tesla. We nominated the city of Hamilton to present them with the Nikola Tesla Medal. That's been presented by the Tesla Science Foundation of the States. This was done in 2019. We also recognized at that same period of time, Maria Pearson, who is a counselor and who is an avid, strong supporter for us. Starting with 2016, when we did the ribbon cutting, we also started a Tesla Electric City Festival. So we've been doing festivals first at 2016 by the lake, and then we did 2 there. And then in 2018, we moved to the Museum of Steam and Technology in Hamilton. Now we are their largest event every year, and these are just a few pictures. One of the important things that we use these festivals is that, as you can see, we get media attention, and that was a news reporter there doing a video for the evening news. So that is just another angle of us reaching to the public, and we always cater to whatever we can do to attract media and make the event as grand as possible for that. Unfortunately, our 2020 festival was lost, and we anticipate the 2021 festival will be a no-go as well, based on this COVID scenario. But this was geared all in Hamilton. Since then, now we've also found a second location. We're going to be doing a second festival in Oakville. And the reason we're targeting Oakville is there's a brand new high school that's being built there. But to get people to be aware of who Nikola Tesla is, we're going to host Tesla festivals in their neighborhood. And we're going to encourage those neighbors to come to the festival and to discover who Nikola Tesla is. Later in 2019, November 27th to be exact, we reached out to the Niagara Parks Commission because that Rankin Station, we heard there was going to be some interesting developments, that it was going to be opened up to the public in the near future. And actually just before that, there was a doors open, and the tickets that were for the admission to the Rankin Station were gone in a half an hour. They added a second day. That day, tickets were gone in 15 minutes. Extremely popular. Even though I knew all about it, I could not get my hands on tickets. So I actually had to reach out to the CEO of the Niagara Parks Commission, and he's the one that provided access to myself and to my directors to be able to go. But following that, we went and made a presentation to them of what Tesla's role is in the power generating station and how important it is that Tesla be a critical component of whatever is done inside the station in the future. And you'll see some developments. But the next thing that happens was actually in February of 2020, where we hosted a Tesla Gala. This time the gala was in Burlington, and we had some very prominent guests attend. Those 2 gentlemen that you see on looking at us, that's CEO David Adames and Marcelo Grusso. He is an engineer who's been working on this power generating station since they got their hands on it, because it was turned over to them. I do believe what it was is a lease, 99-year lease ran out, and the station was given over to Niagara Parks. So they explained there are actually 3 stations that they own. The other gentleman, and they were our guests at the gala, our special guest. The other gentleman that you see at the microphone, he is an MPP from Toronto, and Tom Markanovic, and his idea is to get a day recognized in Ontario as a Nikola Tesla Day. So he's working towards that with our support. We should hopefully hear some more about that in the near future as he's progressing. Of course, pending whatever transpires with the COVID scenario and how everything works that way. So next comes the Niagara Parks Commission, that the CEO there that I just mentioned, David Adames, declares that the area around the Nikola Tesla statue on the Canadian side is now called the Nikola Tesla Plaza. And the pathway that you see leading from there towards the falls, leading down, is now called the Nikola Tesla Trail. So they're recognizing the importance and significance of Nikola Tesla. The other thing that we see is on the right at the very bottom, it's Niagara Parks Power Station. That is actually the Rankin station that we talked about. The other 2 stations, one is the Toronto station. It's not seen in the picture, but if you go on Google Maps and do a satellite view, you'll just see it. It would be just slightly lower at the very bottom where the picture is cut off. And the Ontario station actually is right underneath where the Tesla statue is, but it's built down by the river versus being built on the top side. So what is now happening? Well, Niagara Parks Power Station is becoming an attraction, as it indicated. You will be able to visit and discover this place, okay? And it's coming very soon. The target opening date is the 1st of July, and they're doing their darndest to get there. This is the way the station looks, right? I shouldn't say right now because there have been some modifications already, but clearly this was the way it looked like last year when I was in there 3 or 4 times. This station is 100% intact. And when I say it's that intact, I had the privilege on one of my private tours to go anywhere I wanted in the station. I went 1 level below because they deemed that level was safe enough to go on. And I've gone up, and right in the middle, right underneath the word "it," you'll see a set of stairs that are going up. Those stairs go to the control room. From the control room, there's another set of stairs. You go up to the 3rd floor, and on the 3rd floor, there's a boardroom. Off the boardroom, there's this small storage room full of filing cabins. I pulled filing cabins, and the cabins were filled with the blueprints for the station. I couldn't believe it. And even manuals and all kinds of stuff were inside this thing. So they really gave them everything. They've got a ton of information, and everything is still intact. So this is the way the station operated. They just turned it off and walked out and turned everything over to Niagara Parks with the keys. As you can see, they're going to be building a thing inside that will demonstrate how massive this thing is below ground. We see only the top. All right. But so this is a lot of imaging and a lot of stuff that we will be able to see in there. And they are recognizing Tesla, as you can see by the arrow. Now, if you'd like to see pictures of this place, go into Tesla Educational, click on photos, and just scroll down. When you scroll down, you'll come across this batch of pictures. And these are the pictures inside the station that I took when I was inside it. So there's lots of information. And if you actually want to see more pictures, even of the Q station, you'll find them there as well. So it's a Tesla Educational is where you'll find all of this stuff. Okay. Anyway, you talked about a bit of music. Well, there is a bit of music right here from a Tesla coil.
Vic, quick question. Just before you go here, since we got your contact information, is it possible to get in contact with you for possible seeing how we can help out, or if you need volunteers or you need people?
Definitely. The easiest way is info@teslaeducational.ca.
Okay,
Or
great.
they've got my email as well. That's one of the emails. Definitely, we do need some support, especially as we start moving forward with some new things that are going to be happening. So we are always looking for people who are interested, because the name of the game is how to educate and inspire the kids. And if others want to take that task on, we're willing to turn over material or packages of presentations that you can do in the school, and we're all about that.
Vic, are you in touch with the Ontario Water Power Association? If not, do you need a connection?
Yes, I could use a connection. No, I'm not in touch with them.
Okay. You'll get my contact info, but I know the executive director